running Eurofood is like riding a lion. Yeah, you have to ride it, and you have to keep on feeding it. Okay, and if you stop feeding it, it will eat you.
Why do you do what you do? Like, why? At the end, like, the bottom line is why.
Well, in the beginning, if you remember my life,
Mr. Shelim Hussain MBE. He is not just a pride of Bangladesh, he is also a pride of the UK. He invested his only £20. This business has now almost reached a valuation of $500 million.
so I knew one of my relatives was very successful in this business. So I called him. I remember calling him. Just didn't want to know me. That really made me say, okay, I'm going to make this. If they can do it, I can do it. I always knew what I wanted.
What is it that you wanted?
I wanted to make sure that the business is...
Did you ever get bullied?
Yes. I used to feel depressed and demoralized. It was a bit, bit tough for me because I was a bit, what shall I say, but I knew inside me that I always felt like a hero. In 6th of November, some of my competitors and ex-employees even burnt my house down. That's why I'm living in Newport.
Wow, this I didn't know it could go to that level.
Some people go beyond. And those days are the best days of my life that I missed. Okay? If you say, would you change everything you have and be a normal person and have those days? I would say anytime.
Mr. Shelim Hussain MBE, welcome to the show.
Well, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for having me.
Salam.
I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. We feel honored to have you here because you told me a little while ago you've just come off a plane and you still made the effort to come down today. So I would like to thank you on behalf of our audience for coming here, and hopefully by the end of this show they will feel truly inspired by your journey.
Well, as you explained, this show is all about giving back to the community and trying to inspire and help our young generation to take on the challenges and become successful in life. And I am now old man compared to...
You don't look very old. I mean, last time I saw you you have improved a lot. I mean, you've lost so much weight. I can't believe it.
Yes. So I'm here to see what I can do, and if by one little story of my life's journey or a couple of words, if I can make any difference to anybody's life, for them to go out and try and achieve their dreams, it will be a worthwhile journey. Amazing.
And I guess as I said, this is what this show is about. So I want to start off by kind of getting a context into who you are. So why don't you take us back to your early days, your earliest memories back in Bangladesh?
My earliest memories back in Bangladesh were probably the best times of my life. So I actually grew up in a village called Kharmafur. It's also called Islampur, or most people know it as Kharmafur. Boalzur Bazar, Balagonj, Sylhet. And I have a memory, believe it or not. My parents used to tell me, I probably heard it, but I have a memory from the time, I was on my knees, I was crawling. And my early days as a child was in a village. I mean, we did not have any electricity. The lights was from... we call this in Bengali, those lamps called horikol, whatever they call here. I don't know.
Lanterns,
whatever they call them. And you needed kerosene to fire them. And I remember I used to make my own light by catching flies and put them in the jars in the night, and that would be my light.
Flies?
Fireflies.
Okay.
Yeah,
we call them zunifuk. Is that what it is?
Yeah. They light up the bomb, and you
Yes.
catch a few and you put it inside the jar, and that becomes your
creative from early days.
natural light. And then also there's a certain plant, I forgot the name of it. You push a stick in and you take there's a white bit, you take that plant out, okay? And you can create a lamp which lasts for an hour. Okay, so you take the inside out and you dip it in kerosene and you make a lamp. So we used to make lamp with that all the time.
Wow.
And then I was a bit of a menace. I was probably the naughtiest kid in the village, not that very few villages. So, and my dad was very strict. You know, as a Bengali, you know, you get beaten up by your father.
Yeah.
So, and you don't get traumatized by it because for us it's normal. I mean, these days, if you touch a child, then
Yeah,
you know,
you've got issues.
yeah, you've got issues. But for us, we grow up, it's normal. It doesn't mean your father doesn't love you. That doesn't mean you start hating him. It's just normal that you get beaten up if you're naughty. And I was the naughtiest. So my father used to have a shop, and I used to have a lookout if he's coming home for lunch to make sure I'm not home. So
Wow.
so yeah, and I was going fishing. I have bad memories of few encounters with cobra snakes when I nearly died. I nearly died on a tornado. I used to take risks which would end my life that I would never do today. So on a massive river full of current, I would swim to the other side. And sometimes you start here, and by the time you cross the river, you're 1 mile down the road.
Wow, that is crazy.
Yeah. So you're just daring the other child and all other friends and things we did. And now, thinking about it is scary.
Wow.
Those are the things I did when I was a child. But it was a beautiful childhood. I used to play football. I used to be really good at a sport called kabaddi. So I was to be really good at that.
Kabaddi, is that like tug of war? Or?
No, we usually played in the monsoon. So you're muddy and you're slippery, and you hold your breath and you say kabaddi, 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 kabaddi. Go to the other side, and it will touch somebody and come back, and they have to catch you. But if it's raining and muddy, you're slippery, then you slip away, and it's a fantastic game.
Amazing. And so what year did you move to the UK? At the age of 11?
Yeah, so originally my ancestors, we are direct descendants of Shah Kamal from Shahfara, so who's the nephew of Shah Jalal. So my ancestors actually go back to Yemen and all the way back to Konya, where Shah Jalal was originally from. So my family until my great granddad was Fir. You know, we talked about being Mesab from Zokigon.
Yes.
So in our area, we were the only Mesab family, and the rest of people were Hindus about, say, 300-400 years ago. And we spread Islam in that area. But the time came to my grandfather's time, because people used to come to my great-grandfather and they used to become murid. I don't know if you know what that means.
Yes, like disciples?
Yeah, something like that. And they used to donate land to him, and then they would graze those land, grow rice, and donate, or bring all the rice from 50, 60, 100 miles away. They used to come all the time. But as more people probably got educated, or people were struggling, these died out. So my grandfather actually in the early 50s came to UK and went back after building lots of land. But then his family grew, and then we were we weren't poor, but we weren't rich, like a middle to lower family. So we never starved of food. But I remember the times where we had rice, but no curries. So you'd had to eat the rice just with water and salt.
Wow.
Or water and some chili paste, because they used to have chili paste.
To spice it up a little bit.
Yeah. So catching fish was a hobby, and if you catch good fish, then you get to eat it.
Yes.
So I think I started catching fish from the age of 5, 6.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So what year was it that you moved? Was it with your family or you?
No. So because my family was middle to lower end of the economic, so my father sent me to UK with his sister, my fufu.
Okay.
Yeah, so I moved here in 3rd of January 1985.
85.
Yeah, I was 11.
Wow. Amazing. And you moved straight to Wales? Or?
No, first we lived in a house near Baker Street. Not house, actually apartment. I still remember, and I think 1985, Michael Jackson came to Madame Tussauds, because you can watch Madame Tussauds from the apartment we used to live in. And I think that place was too expensive for them to live, my auntie's family. So they moved to Cardiff, I think 1987.
Wow.
Moved to Cardiff.
What was it like though? Like, obviously you said your father sent you alone with his sister.
Yes.
What was it like, being isolated from the whole family and you were just kind of in the middle of nowhere effectively?
I think you mentally get prepared. So I remember because we weren't really well off, so we would eat dinner time or lunchtime. There isn't much to eat.
Even in the UK?
No, I'm talking about in Bangladesh. And then there was talk about sending me back to UK, and there's a lot of boys like me came over to the UK, calling somebody else their parents. So I had to call my uncle, my father, to come here.
Okay.
And a lot of boys came like me. It was into my head that I was coming here to migrate, to earn money, to send money back home. So I was mentally prepared from an early age as a migration to come here to work and send money back home. When I came here, it was totally different. From being a free-souled, wild, running around everywhere in lakes and rivers and jungles to London, felt like a bit caged in, in the beginning. It was a bit tough. But I adjust to all situations, so I just...
So you had that that pressure on you, on your shoulders to hopefully, help your family back home as well by earning money. Mm-hmm. In the UK. And how long did it take for you to kind of find a way to start making money?
Well, I was always entrepreneurial. So when even in Bangladesh, my first business was at the age of 6. So I would buy Bombay mix from the bazaar, and because we had a family of 33 members, so I would mix it up and sell it to the family. So that was my first business. And then I start growing Naga chili. I take it to the bazaar and sell it. Then I think at age 7 or 8, I had a couple of ducks. So, and then a couple of chickens, I used to sell the eggs. So I always did that. And then I think at age 9, I used to go to other bazaars, like Lala Bazaar, where my nana's from. Vegetables were cheap there, so I'd buy vegetables from there and bring it to Mari. So age of 9, I was doing that in our bazaar and sell that. So I always had that in me. But when I came here, I was totally in another family with no income. And it was a bit, bit tough. For me, because I was a bit, what shall I say, not used to what I was in Bangladesh. So it was a bit tough for me here, especially in London. And when you go to school, you can't understand what they're saying because I did not know any English whatsoever.
Did you ever get bullied?
Yes. I got bullied in North Westminster School in Paddington. I remember the guys who used to bully me because I didn't know what they're saying. They used to pick on me, make fun of me. There was a girl called Shiv. I still remember her name. She used to...
Does Shiv know who you are now?
I have no idea if Shiv knows who I am.
I wish she does. I hope she does.
Who I am. So, yes, I used to get bullied up and picked up on. And I used to feel depressed and demoralized. But I knew inside me that I always felt like a hero. I said I would come back up because in my village I was the hero. I was the number one boy because I was I was really good at school. In Bangladesh, I was the best in school in English. The wall is wall, chair is chair. I knew all these English languages. So, but coming here was difficult, and especially London was very difficult. I had a couple of best friends who really helped me. One is called Jaked and one is called Rafiz, and they protected me. They're Bengalis. And then obviously we moved to Cardiff, and it was a different story from just when I was getting used to being here into Cardiff.
Why did you move to Cardiff? What was
the family I came with here couldn't afford to live in London.
Okay.
So they migrated to Cardiff. And then I think I was the only second Bengali child in the whole school. And if I didn't move to Cardiff, I wouldn't learn English because here in North Paddington, most of my friends are Bengali. We used to had Bengali teachers, we had Bengali lessons, we had everything Bengali. So you don't learn English.
Yeah.
So in Cardiff, I was forced to learn English.
You had no choice but to speak English.
Yeah, because everybody else is not the Bengalis there.
Exactly, amazing. So At what age? I mean, what year was it when you started doing A levels and
So I carried on as I was. So when I went to Cardiff, obviously it was a bit more less hectic, more subtle. So obviously I needed money. The family I came with, they were on low income, so I used to get dinner tickets. So I would starve myself a couple of dinners, sell the dinner tickets to other friends, use that money for my pocket money, and then I remember going to Oxfam and buying my clothes. Then I used to do. Then I found out some of my friends were doing paper rounds, so then I did a couple of paper rounds. One at 5 in the morning, one at 6 in the morning. Came from school, did another one at 4:30 and one at 5:30. So I did 4 paper rounds a day.
Wow.
So and then at age 14, I started working in an Indian restaurant, peeling onions. So yeah.
Wow, and this is when you decided, you know what, I'm gonna take the leap of faith and I'm gonna start a business.
I've always wanted to start a business. Remember, because I was always entrepreneurial from early age, and I did businesses. And here I didn't know what to do. So my first business was I followed. I think I was 15, and there was some multi-level marketing business called Avon or something.
Avon, yes.
Avon, something like that.
Forever Living. No, not Avon. Yes, Avon is the cosmetics brand.
Yes,
isn't it?
cosmetics
Yes,
brand.
that's right.
So I've seen some people do that. Some of my white friends' mothers do that, and so I couldn't get into Avon. So I got into another thing called Ecos. There was another perfume. It's like similar to Avon. Yeah, it's another perfume brand called Ecos came out, and I started that at 15 and a half or 16. I had no connections. Usually you need a lot of social connections to sell all these things. But I thought, hang on a minute, there's lots of Bengali restaurants here in Cardiff. If I go to all of them, maybe I can sell some perfume. So that's how I started my first business, selling perfumes to Bengali restaurants. And because obviously I was 15 or 16 at the time, so I can only walk. So within a month, I ran out of all the places I can walk to. So, and those people won't buy anymore. So that business was over.
So when did the story of Eurofoods or the journey of the birth of Eurofoods start?
So birth of Eurofoods started when I was 17. So at that time I was studying for A-levels during the day. And in the evening, I was working in an Indian restaurant because obviously I had to work to earn money, to send money back home. And a guy who was supplying prawns, they only used to do prawns to the restaurant called RY Seafood. And for some reason, the guy's name was Farooq Mia, and he decided to pack up his business. And I thought, okay, this is a good opportunity to start that. So I knew one of my relatives was very successful in this business. So I called him. I remember calling him. And he just I introduced him to myself, to himself, who I am, blah, blah, blah. He just didn't want to know me. Although my father rescued him and his brother from the Pakistanis during the Liberation War. Otherwise, they would have been killed. But he didn't want to know me. He was very successful, that family. When they didn't want to know me and they just brushed me off, that really made me say, okay, I'm going to make this. If they can do it, I can do it. So that's when I started. I think in October 1991, I think.
Wow, and that was the beginning of your journey.
That was the beginning.
I remember I went to your recent event and you were talking about this blue van.
Yes.
What's the story with the blue van? I wish you had brought that blue van with you. The miniature of it.
That was, you have milestones in life. The blue van was a milestone. So before that blue van, I had a small broken van or small car I used to deliver everything in. So when I started the company, I was on my own in 1991. And then in 1992, I fallen in love, and at an early age of 19, I had to get married, and because my family wasn't here, I had to go to Bangladesh to get married. So my business was shut down. I was only one man, so I needed partners, and at the same time, I had some issues with some of the guys in Cardiff that I did some partnership with. So my close-breast two friends, one of my best close friends, I said to him, I was actually prepared to, after all this happened in those days, you're not allowed to choose who you want to marry. It was forbidden.
It was arranged, yeah?
Yeah, and you would be an outcast. So I became an outcast in 1992. It was like a talk of the town. I shouldn't be liking any girls. It's forbidden against Islam, against my culture, against everything. So I decided to leave Cardiff and come to London.
Okay.
That was in 1992. Forgot the business, everything shut down, finished. I started, although I started in 1991, early 1991, I think, I was trading under no company name, just selling cash and getting the money. And then my friend Rahim, and then he brought in Saiful and said, don't go, let's do this business together. And then I stayed in 1992 and we formed Eurofoods. I think, although I started in early 1991, we formed Eurofoods, I think, 17th of January 1993.
And did you have to reinvest new capital into the company, or?
Yeah,
how
we
did it
started.
go?
Although my original investment was £20 at that time in 1993. By that time, I earned up a couple of grand, so I put £2,000 in. Saiful put £2,000 in. Rahim put £2,000 in. So £6,000 was investment.
Wow, amazing! So impressive. From £20 to then £2,000, and then that became £6,000, and now, Alhamdulillah, by the will of Allah and the grace of Allah, it's what it is today. So where would you say that tipping point happened? Obviously, every business goes from its 10,000, 100,000, and then £1 million, and then there's a point where you either stay where you are, or you climb up. So where did that climb happen?
Your business, you never stay where you are. If you're staying where you are, you're falling behind, as everybody around you goes forward. And I always knew that from the beginning. So obviously, first thing was the blue van, because I went to Bangladesh to get married, and when I came back and I saw, because we didn't have a van, and Saiful bought that blue van from auction, and that blue van took our business from, I think, 5-6 grand a week all the way up to about 50-60 grand a week.
Amazing.
Yeah, and did really hard job, and I used to sleep in the van, it was really, that was the biggest thing I remember. And then after that, the next big thing was, because we were renting a premises with a couple of chest freezers, I managed to convince a local Welsh gentleman to give me his building, which has cold stores in. And that really propelled us to the next level, because from able to store a few goods, a cold store cost $250,000 to $500,000 to build, even in those days. So it was expensive. I had that free almost, because I managed to.
How?
He was moving to bigger premises.
Okay.
He wanted to sell his business. I had no money to buy. So I convinced him to rent it to me in the hope of buying in the future within 5 years. And I moved in there. I think within 15 months, I outgrew the site. Business from, I think, about 2 million, we went to about 14 million in.
And what year are we talking about?
This is back in 1994.
So what was that strategy? Was it just a pure multiplication game, or was it a bit of thinking big with a thing for risk as well? What was it like that? What was the formula?
So little steps, slowly. There's no big plan to dominate the world. It has never been. In my beginning, it was okay. We're in Cardiff, so Cardiff is expensive. Our market is Bristol, Cardiff, and Newport. So let's do a warehouse in Newport. Newport was cheaper. Newport was like a ghost town those days. That's how I started. And you plan, okay, I'm going to do this much, and then your goal, as you achieve your goal, the goal then goes further, extends, and becomes more. First, we want to be a bigger supplier in Cardiff, and then it was the region, and then it was South Wales, then it was England, and then it's UK, and now international. So as you grow, you achieve your goal. You cannot stay put. You have to. If I did not do what I did today, I don't think I could last in this such a competitive business. Because remember in the beginning, when I started this business, I had a massive support from the Bengali community. They supported me being a Bengali boy. When I was first started, people didn't believe that who I was. I started this business because I was 17. I would go and say, my father started the business and I'm here working. And they would say, okay, fine, we'll give you. If I tell them it's me, they wouldn't buy from me because I'm a 17-year-old kid. So they wouldn't leave their, reliable supplier to buy from a 17-year-old kid. So I couldn't tell people that I own the business. So the goal changes, and then after 3, 4, 5 years of business, I knew what I wanted. I always knew what I wanted.
What is it that you wanted?
I wanted to make sure that the business is sustainable. If I become a Me Too company, I won't last. So there was 2 strategies. One strategy was grow the business, get more market share, but then work upstream, get the supply chain sorted. If I'm buying the same product as my competition, then what's my edge? There's no edge. So I went into... So first, obviously, I was buying from a wholesaler, then I bought from an importer, and then I started importing, and it never ends. So then I started, after importing, I started having my own processing plants. And from processing plants, I'm now a farmer. I'm today the largest shrimp farmer in Bangladesh. So if you go to Ocado now, you find our shrimps. That shrimps come from my farm. So all these are different businesses that I own, right? So every single business is independent. Okay, each business has a director or a CEO. They report to me, and he's independently responsible for success of that business. So say the farm, for example, supplies to my factory, but if my factory doesn't pay a good price, he can supply to another factory, which I don't own. Okay. So he supplies prawns from my own farm to my factory. He makes a profit. The factory supplies to Eurofoods, makes a profit. Eurofoods will sell to a wholesaler or a shopkeeper, make a profit. So say Eurofoods will sell to some Masala Bazaar, make a profit. Masala Bazaar will sell to the retailers and make a profit. So I think we are the only Bangladeshi shrimp out there in the supermarkets now, in the mainstream. So Ocado is doing really well with our black tiger shrimps.
Amazing. So obviously you were buying from people initially, and then you became a wholesaler yourself, and then you became an importer, and then you became the farmer, ultimate farmer yourself. Did you annoy anyone along the way, or did anyone become annoyed along the journey?
I annoyed lots of people. So give you an example. In Bangladesh, I was the largest importer of skim prawns into the United Kingdom, right? And there is a factory in Kunlan, factory in Dhaka. I'm the biggest customer. From becoming their biggest customer to their competitor with my own plant. And in 2021, 2022, we were the largest exporter of shrimps from Bangladesh and had won a gold trophy from the government, from Prime Minister for that. So, of course, you can annoy people, but that shouldn't hold you back.
Did it cause any impact, or did it have any consequences as a result of you annoying those guys?
Listen,
did they try and cause any obstructions?
I annoy a lot of people to an extent that the worst one, as I said, was in 6th of November. Some of my competitors and ex-employees even burnt my house down. That's why I'm living in Newport, with me in it.
So is that the incident we're talking about?
Yes. So I annoy a lot of people along the way.
Wow.
But I'm a fighter. I always fight.
And I hope these people have been dealt with.
They've been arrested, but I don't know what evidence police has, because the guy who my CCTV camera caught people, somebody with a hoodie and a balaclava.
Wow, this I didn't know it could go to that level.
Some people go beyond, and they have connections which I don't have.
Wow, this is
okay.
Crazy. When you were saying before the show, there was an incident, and that's why I live in London now. I was like, okay, what could it be?
Yeah.
Maybe something. It could be anything, but someone burnt your house down. That is next level. Now, coming back to the good sides, when you hire someone, what is the first thing that you look for, and how long does it take for you to determine if that person is going to be hired or not?
There is no art in hiring people. You have people with fantastic CVs, and in the meetings they come very well, but until you work with them for a good 6 months to a year, you don't know how good they are. I have been lucky, and mostly when my two best friends, Rahim and Saiful, they have been working flat out day and night for the last 30 years with me. Then after that, Now the company is bigger. It's more than 2,500 people work in Bangladesh. So, for example, we have 7 or 8 businesses, and they're pretty big ones. And it's a corporate structure, and I have country directors and factory managers, and I've been very lucky in getting this. I mean, I had my fair share of bad luck. I have people. I mean, I didn't remember doing a business in Northern Ireland where I've lost money. I've lost money doing business in USA. So I've lost money a few times because the partners wasn't right. The guys who were doing it weren't good. The people I put in charge, weren't as good as they
How long
should
does
be.
it take for you to pull the plug on a certain individual who happens to be not performing or doing what you need them to do?
I think in the past I took it too long to pull the plug because I tried to fight everything and just keep it flowing. Now I am learning better. For example, recently we've invested in an abattoir, a slaughterhouse. I think about within 2 years we shut it down. I think we shut it down in October last year because it wasn't working out. So I mean, these days, if I invest in a business and if it doesn't work out within a year or 2 max, in the past I tried to make it work, but I was more younger, I had more energy, and now I just don't have the time.
So what are the key criteria of hiring? When you look at someone, what is it that you're looking for?
My key criteria is honesty.
Honesty.
Yeah, honesty and willingness to learn and and roll your sleeves up and do the hard work. Nobody comes with all the talents. Nobody comes with fully experienced, but they learn on the job. But if they're honest, if they are willing to put the sweat in and work hard, then that's the person you want. Give you an example. The country director of all my businesses in Bangladesh. We are in Bangladesh. We're in farming. We're in garments industry. We've got factories, 3 or 4 factories now. We're in retail. We're in IT. We have an IT sector. So all those businesses is run by a country director who joined my company as a clerk in 2005, 2006. I had loads of people that I couldn't work with for whatever reason. And this guy was so loyal to me, okay? And I brought him up and made him in charge of all my affairs in Bangladesh.
What happens when someone tries to now tamper with that person that you really trust and they're good for you, but then there might be some other people who might try and sway you away from that person? How do you keep track on that?
Right. So
path?
how do you keep talent? Right.
Yes.
That's the question. So in the beginning, I was a bit slow. So for example, the paratha factory. I was the first one to do a paratha factory in Bangladesh. Actually, the second one in the world. The first one I did with a Malaysian partner in Malaysia, and that didn't work out for me. So I got annoyed and didn't done in Bangladesh. And then all other paratha factories opened, and they took most of my staff, and it was difficult. Then I learned how to keep the staff. So what we do now in Bangladesh is, or even in UK, we make sure we value our staff. And you've probably seen me crying when people say I don't value my staff because I take it personally. So in Bangladesh, I can give you an example. So where everybody is valued, and we pay we're most highest paid employer in our industry in Bangladesh. Maybe not in the UK because UK is very competitive. And then my top level directors, what I try to do is take all the headaches away. So top level directors in Bangladesh, I pay for their Medicare. Bangladesh shouldn't have Medicare, so I pay for their full family Medicare, including trips abroad. I pay for their children education all the way to finish university. There's a grant for any weddings for the family. So then in Bangladesh, you think about what do they worry about? They worry about if somebody is ill, they have to take them to the hospital, where they're going to get the money from, right? So I don't want them to worry about that. Okay, or how they're going to raise the child, where the education fees going to come from. I don't want them to worry about that. If there is a wedding, I just think of humanity, what is our needs. Take all those worries away. All he should think about is the company and nothing else. And there's few people I've got, that's all they do. is think about the company, nothing else. Because I've taken all the other headaches away.
Amazing. That's really impressive, and I guess all the employers should take a leave out of that and
People
learn.
don't leave my organization. If they've left, then they not good. Usually in my businesses in the UK or Bangladesh, people don't leave.
Hey guys, it's Shafiq. Sorry to interrupt you during the show. If you are enjoying, please like, share, and subscribe. And let us know in the comment below who you want to see on the next show. Let's get back into the show again. Now I've got some, quick fire questions for you, and it's gonna be just, one word or two words answer. What is your favorite non-Bangladeshi restaurant or type of cuisine?
Oh. Thai?
Thai?
Yeah.
Any particular dish?
No.
No. Okay, what do you prefer, Bangladesh or Wales?
I don't answer that one.
No?
No.
You like both?
I like both.
Asda or Waitrose?
Waitrose is where I shop now.
Okay.
My daughter shops in Asda, and I'm just too lazy to go to Asda. It's not because it's a class issue. It's just that Waitrose is next to my home.
Amazing. What's your biggest fear?
Biggest fear is death, committing sin.
Death.
Yeah.
Wow. No, that's definitely the right fear to have. What are the things that irritate you most in life in general?
Laziness, inefficiencies, can't tolerate it. So, for example, if you're driving on the motorway or on the road and you see people in vest just standing around doing nothing and they're on £20 an hour, I get frustrated inside my car.
Oh dear. What about people that make excuse for everything? They've got an excuse for every solutions.
Yeah, I have a couple of those in my family. They are. I mean, I don't have any time for them unless they're your family, and then you have to work with them. I don't have many of those in my life.
Good. What is the worst thing or hardest thing about your job?
The hardest thing is about, again, stress of, because I run my business in a very dynamic situation, so I get very stressful because to go to where I am, you cannot run the business in a comfortable way. So you have lots of money in the bank and everything's comfortable. I always stretch. I think I probably explained to you before. If if somebody say if I have £1, I spend £2. I don't even have £1. I think of earning the £1, and the £1 I think I'm going to earn, I've already invested it. Okay, but if that earning doesn't happen, then I get stressed out.
At any given time, how much money do you have to have in your cash flow? What is that? Is there? I mean, is that something that you can disclose, or is that secret?
No. I mean, business Eurofoods turnover in the UK now is about 140 million. So you can guess from that what money you need to have. But I don't keep huge reserve because I think that's a lazy business. If you've got lots of money lying around doing nothing, then that's lazy. I mean, when I have people coming to me and say, hey, what do you want to invest in this, invest in that? So I'm going investing in somebody else. Why am I not investing in myself? Why would I go and invest in somebody else to make me money? That means I don't believe in my own ability. So I never invest in another business or on somebody for them to do well. I always invest in myself.
Do you have any favorite quotes that you refer to on a daily basis or that you remind yourself with?
Yeah, cash is king.
Cash is king. So you always have cash. Good to know. What are your biggest strengths or strength?
My biggest strength is my wife.
You as an individual.
Your
ability-wise.
My biggest strength is my ability to know that I can achieve things. That I know I can get things done.
Very capable person, basically.
I have a very much belief in myself to be able to do anything.
Amazing.
As long as another human being can do it, I believe I can do it.
What's your biggest weakness?
I think I make decisions too quickly sometimes. That's a strength and a weakness. It worked out for me in lots of businesses, and a lot of businesses didn't work out for me. I don't, wander around and going over things time and time again. I just decide.
Do you find it's easier for you to make bigger decisions and harder for you to make the smaller decisions, or is it quite you have a formula?
There is no formula. I just decide. If I'm going to do something, I just decide. I just do it. And usually I don't listen to anybody.
So
I'll take advice, but sometimes I listen to them. But usually, if I want to do it, I
why
don't
do you
listen.
not listen to them? I mean, did you have an experience where?
No, if the advice is that I shouldn't do this business, okay, and I do my own calculations and my own forecasts and I think it's going to work out, so I won't listen because I think it's going to be successful. And there's some reasons sometimes it doesn't become successful. For example, the abattoir I was doing really well, but I couldn't get the staff. I was told not to do it. You won't find the staff there. I said, why can't I find the staff there? And I done it, and then because I couldn't get the staff, so I couldn't get the numbers through.
What is it like to do business in somewhere like Bangladesh? I mean, here in the UK or in the West, there's a set infrastructure, and if you follow the kind of system, then you're okay. But in Bangladesh, this is quite dynamic, as you said before.
Anybody new in Bangladesh will find it very challenging and very difficult, like I found. Okay.
Can you give me a gist of what challenges we're talking about?
Things doesn't move. There is few things you need to do. Okay, there's a system. You need to be part of the system. You need to understand the system, and you need to work with the system.
Okay. Do you have any book suggestions that you might want to recommend to our audience?
I did read 1 Minute Manager about 15, 18 years ago. Maybe that's a good one everybody can read.
I mean, 1 Minute Manager.
Yeah.
Has money made you a better person?
I don't think money's made me a better person. I think my wife and my children made me a better person.
Amazing. And what's your relationship like with money? I mean, some people are very extravagant when it comes to money. What are you like with money?
I don't have much money to start off with because I'm always struggling. And I'm not a flashy guy. I'm just a normal guy. Okay, I don't flash out brands or anything like that. I don't go and spend, but I do like to live comfortably. Yeah, so I'm not that type where I would earn money and not spend on myself. I spend on myself and my family. So, I make sure, so if I'm flying anywhere in business class or holiday, I take the whole family in business class or first class. So things like that I do.
Talking of business class, at what point did you transition from economy to business? Because that's a big jump, isn't it, from a financial point of view?
Yeah, I think I did that in 2003, 2004. And again, I had some issues with my directors in the company. And first, it was the company was equal shares, and then I became majority shareholder. After I became majority shareholder, where I controlled everything and I had 100% voting shares, that's when I decided, and I worked so hard to build this. It's time I treat myself.
Amazing. Now coming to Undercover Boss, the ITV show, very, very emotional. I watched it. It almost made me cry. It did make me cry, to be honest, at the end. Did you have any fears before you signed up to the show?
No, that was actually offshoot because I was chosen as a dragon in Dragon's Den, and I couldn't attend that due to some.
Why you were going to be a dragon?
Yeah, I was chosen to be the dragon. I think which series was that? I think 2016, I think 2015, 2016, I can't remember. And I couldn't attend it because I had a tax investigation going on me at that time. And they waited for 6 months for that to finish, and I couldn't finish it. The HMRC weren't moving. And then because I had the connections, I had the So that's why I mean, on Dragon's Den, I had to go and do a screen test and this and that. And you sit next to Deborah and everybody, and you get a real pitch. And we had a real pitch, and they told me that, you pay as a dragon, but you don't have to invest. So, whatever it is, we'll tell them that it was a false one after. So that it was free money, it wasn't even my money. So so the investor chose me, so I was chosen. And then I couldn't attend, and that's why those people, then one of these producers somewhere moved to Undercover Boss team, and they contacted me, you're so good in screen test, we can get you, can you come to do this one? So I'm going to find out what it was, and then I thought, okay, that's good, because I haven't been to Sunderland Depot for years. A lot of people don't know me. I remember I went to a Masala Bazaar in Smethwick once, and this guy, I went there, and the guy on the till had his foot on top of the shelf, and he's on his phone. Okay, so I go to him, I look at him, and obviously he doesn't know who I am. I said to him, "Where's your boss?" He said, "Why? What do you want to do with the boss?"
Wow.
Yeah, and that was, I said, those experiences, I thought, okay, maybe this undercover thing will be a good to learn what happens in the shop floor of the company. Even when I was find out this guy who was working from in Cumbrae, where I go to work, right, almost every day, if I'm in the UK, and the guy was asking me, "Do you come here pretty often?" I thought pretty sure he saw me in the canteen or something. I don't know. So
but that beard that was a good disguise.
That's what I'm going to look like when I'm older.
Oh wow! So you had no fears, or you didn't have any worries that they might want to make you look in a certain way, or give a.
Yeah, I think they want to make good TV, don't they? So they want to make me look bad in certain places. And I think they did that, but I didn't really care. Who cares if it if it helps my company? I mean, I've because of the show, I've learned parts of my company that I did not know about. I made changes, made improvements, gave them a brand new canteen, gave them brand new lockers, gave them lots of stuff.
And did that lady go to Bangladesh at the end?
No, she left. Wow. Then I saw her again, I think 3 weeks ago, back in the canteen again. No, she didn't. They don't go through. See, the way this works, the hard-working employees never came forward. When they go, they don't tell what it is all about. They don't tell you you're going to get 10 grand or 5 grand at the end. Dear. They don't tell you. So nobody wants to come forward. Only the ones who want to skive, what can I come to? I don't have to do work. I can come into the TV. I'll do that. So those ones came forward, So I don't say anything else.
That's fine, no problem. Now, one of the questions I've had is, why do you do what you do? Like, why? At the end, the bottom line is why?
Well, in the beginning, if you remember my life, I came from a poor family. So in the beginning, it was to generate wealth for betterment of my family. See, the goal changes. When I came to this country, I was on my own. So first thing, if you remember back in the days, was how to bring your family to UK.
Yeah,
that was the goal. Okay, so I brought all my family, my extended family, the area, the village, I brought everybody here. Those goals were too small for me. Okay, and then after I don't do it to generate wealth as such. Okay, because that part is done maybe 15, 16, 17 years ago. Alhamdulillah, I could retire today, and me and my children can live off the real estate or everything assets that I have. But now, I mean, what do you do if you don't do work? And you have this business. Running Eurofood is like riding a lion. Yeah, you have to ride it, and you have to keep on feeding it. Okay, and if you stop feeding it, it will eat you.
Yeah. Okay,
that's when the business goes like this. So, give you an example. Eurofoods just before COVID. Not all the other businesses, not the factory, not all the other business, just Eurofoods on its own. Eurofoods is the business on its own. And to run that company, weekly overheads was about 275,000.
Wow.
Okay. That was in 2020 before COVID. Today, to run this company, the same company, weekly overhead is 450,000.
Wow.
Okay. So you need to make so much more money just to break even. So as the cost rises, because cost will always rise. I mean, in April, which is next month, minimum wage is going up by 10%.
Yes.
Okay, so 10% of a payroll bill of about 10, 12 million is a lot of money. So you got to make that money. So you have to continuously grow. You can't
That
stop.
is big stuff. I mean, that is scary stuff.
Can't
Wow.
stop.
What is your relationship with your religion? I do understand from your conversation that you're quite, God-fearing, and you like to kind of put your religion first.
My religion comes before anything else. It's my number one priority. So I'm self-taught on my religion. So back in Bangladesh, we just get taught the Quran and we just memorize. We had no idea what we're reading, Even in UK, when I came and read the Quran, I didn't understand. So because I didn't understand, I didn't pray. Okay. And then a few things happened in my life. I have some revelations. I had some incidents that I cannot explain. They're almost magical. Okay. And those incidents, those magical incidents, made me think, hang on a minute, what am I doing? Then I started learning about Islam. And the more I learned, I found out that Islam is a logical, because I'm always scientific and logical person. Yeah, I have to touch and feel it to know it exists. Otherwise, I don't believe it exists. The more I learned about Islam, it was very logical. It's a very logical religion, and then I would say, yeah, this is the path. And I can give you examples from today. I don't know if people watch a show called Click on BBC. So BBC has a show, News 24 has a show called Click. It shows all the IT stuff, all the tech stuff. I remember when they went there about 15, 16 years ago or 20 years ago in San Francisco, they went to a new startup and this startup was an electric car called Tesla. It was a Click show. And they said, oh, how is this going to work? And so this is what Click does. It brings out all the IT and the tech. And in there, just things, simple things. Google's investing billions now into prolonging life, how you can live longer. Okay, and after spending about 1 billion, they came out with the answer that if you fast, then your organs revitalize and blah blah blah, and you organize, and then you live longer and you be healthier. And in our Quran it says that 1500 years ago that if you do fasting, it's good for you, good for your body. Let me think of something else, because I interpret things in my own way. So there is 7 heavens and or 8 heavens or 7 hells, something like that in the book. And I don't know if you follow scientific programs, you'll find that I think about 2 years ago they have found Earth-like livable planets, 7 or 8 of them. That was about 3,000 light years away. Okay. But we can never travel, or we as human beings can never travel there. So I asked questions to myself, and my first questions was I watched a movie. It was called the movie name was Event Horizon, back in late 90s, and the movie ended where a spaceship in 2400 they found the space. It was lost, and they found it, and it went through wormhole. And it came back out, okay? And the movie left, where did the ship been? Basically, it went to hell and come back. And the wormhole existed, if our journey of our prophet back to the heavens, he definitely went to the wormhole. Otherwise, how can he travel? So I put science and Islam together on my own way, and whatever science find today, believe it or not, I can find it in Quran. Quran says 1500 years ago, this is what it is. And today the scientists make it a revelation. It's a new thing, and it's not.
It's already there.
It's already there.
It's already there.
So I'm very close with my religion.
Amazing. And that's. I mean, this is really hard to kind of balance those two, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not a fanatic. I'm a very logical person. Okay, I don't believe imposing my views on anybody else. I believe Islam grew because of how good it is. Okay, People liked what they saw. That's why they came to Islam. Islam did not conquer on force. Islam did not go and conquer whole of Indian region where me and you are from because it was by force. No. The Mughals did not force anybody to convert. People saw how peaceful, how the religion, it made sense. For example, why do we stand shoulder to shoulder together in Salah? You go to India and you have so many castes. There's caste of Brahman and the untouchables who can't look up to the Brahmins, and they can never eat in the same house or same. So many castes. And when this caste in India, when Islam went to India, and saw these caste people saw, hang on a minute, God made all men equal, and that's how Islam teaches you. Islam, if you're a king or if you're a servant or you're a slave, you're doing salah together, standing shoulder to shoulder, because Allah made you all humans equal. And that's how Islam grew, because it was very logical. So when you read more into it, anybody who understands Islam, okay, will never go and blow themselves up and commit do a suicide bombing, because it's against Islam.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And anybody who understands Islam will not call it a bad religion, because when they understand it, they'll start loving it.
Amazing. Now, back to a bit of business. Did you ever have to turn down any big boys like your, say, Sainsbury's or Ocado or
Yeah,
and what were the consequences as a result?
I have a belief that I should never get into business with anybody who was bigger than me. Okay, so I did turn down, and I turned down a big, probably the biggest supermarket in the UK, and I had a fallout with them, and they wouldn't pay me. And I went to their offices, and I thought, okay, they owe me about 100 grand. So if they don't pay me, basically what they try to do, they had a product, it's chicken actually. They ordered 50 trucks from me. I bought the chicken in, and they wouldn't take it. And I was paying storage. So I went to meet this guy. I met him in someone in East London, which is the director of Tesco. Sorry, I shouldn't say that name. Shouldn't say that name. Anyway, he knows who it is. I met him, and he put it on sale, and he buy one get one free. It was in all the stores, and within 2 weeks he sold 50 trucks. After 3 months, I have a bill of 250 grand. By the way, Eurofoods, we had a joint partnership, and we were supposed to make X amount of profit from you. We didn't, so we had 50 grand less, 250 grand less profit on your products than we should have made. Therefore, you owe us that money. I'm saying, it's not my fault.
Wow, this is some cutthroat stuff.
Yeah, it's not my fault. You put it on offer. You order the stock. And then I decided, okay, I'm not going to do business with them. And I went and I thought, okay, how do I get my money out? So I knew to them I was a little guy. So if I go and make a scene in the head office, they had an open plan office. So I went there and screamed and shouted that if you don't pay my money, I'm going to call the police. You're going to have to call the police, and it will come on papers that big UK supermarket supplier and all this nonsense. Okay, and they paid me then and then all my money.
No way, like
all my
straight
money,
away.
and they delisted me straight away. They
Wow.
delisted me. But good thing is the guy who delisted me, the director, is now a director in Eurofoods.
Amazing. Wow.
Because we became friends.
After the fallout, you became friends.
Yeah.
How do you value relationships? I mean, that's something that's quite important, isn't it? Like, oftentimes in business we can burn relationships, but then for me, it's very important to also cultivate relationships.
So
Where is the balance?
I don't burn any relationship unless I know it needs to be burnt. Because if somebody is unethical or unhealthy, and then that's the one you burn. Otherwise, most business relationship I always keep. Okay, I always stay in touch. For me and you, we stayed in touch. We met in 2020, I believe. Yeah, and we stayed in touch. Hello, hi. Who knows what the future will hold? Okay, so, and I'm active with my relationships where I'm doing regular businesses. I'm very close with them, and I'm very transparent with my partners. Success of Eurofoods and me is not because of what I've done, it's because of my team in the UK, but also the people who invested in me. Not like money, But big companies like the biggest meat company in the world, who turned over 64 billion, trust me, I'm their partner for protein. So when I talk about protein, there's nobody bigger. Okay, so they are my partners. When they want to meet me, they send private jet over. Okay, and we go and meet them.
Wow.
So these are the people who trust me and believe in me, and mostly it's not people from our community. It's big companies, and the big CEO, he meets me and he trusts me, and that's how I do business.
Amazing. Are there any specific deals that you've done and that really turned the situations around, or it was so valuable to you? And were there any techniques that you used to kind of make that deal happen?
There's lots of deals where the company did really well. I mean, we invented the roti paratha back in 1997. You know, roti paratha didn't exist. I invented it.
What's roti paratha? I mean,
it's a frozen paratha.
Yes.
You know, Eurofoods invented that.
Oh, you invented it.
We invented that product. It didn't exist before us. So we were going around shops in London, frying and selling it. The dal puri, the aloo puri, all these things we invented. All this Asian snack you see, we invented, and everybody else copied. If you see that we will launch a product, and about 2 years' time, everybody else copies.
Wow.
So a lot of things we did. The most one I remember, which made me about 20 million, is probably the Hayes Depot. I think met you there once.
Yes.
That depot was owned by the Israeli government and 7 banks of Israel.
Wow.
And that one was tough. Me being a Muslim, trying to get that from them was tough. And that made about 20 million in value, in appreciation. So that was a good one. And the product wise, there's loads. There's lots of products. We have fantastic products like Murgi Master, which makes £1 million a year profit. We do our Crown Farm single cream. We do a lot of other chickens and a lot of products.
Amazing. So, I mean, we're coming to an end to our show. Share with us you're in much better shape than I saw you last. You know, do you have a physical or mental health routine? Because let's face it, entrepreneurship is not a jolly journey. It is quite lonely, and oftentimes you find yourself in a situation where you have anxiety, where you have depression. You're going through depression, but you have to kind of deal with it yourself.
Yeah, I'm known in my family to be saying that I don't believe in depression. I do get depressed, but it's for a very short time. So I would get depressed for half a day or a day. I got depressed for about 3 or 4 days when my closest cousins backstabbed me back in 2017. That was the biggest time. The people I brought to UK, I raised everything, and then they did something really bad on me. And that was the time I think I got the most of the time I got depressed, about 3 days or 4 days. Then I picked myself up. I said, what am I doing? I should do what I'm best at. And then I carried on. So, yeah. So, and sometimes it is lonely. It is challenging. But it is lonely at the top.
Why do you not believe in? Because everyone's talking about depression and anxiety. I mean, I personally don't believe in depression and anxiety because I feel us as human beings, we're such a strong creation of God Almighty. I mean, we can overcome it.
Yeah.
But
so anxiety I have. Obviously, definitely, anxiety is an issue if I'm making something, because I'm always living the life on edge. A lot of decisions I make, so I have a lot of anxiety. But depression I don't believe in because I'm not saying I don't believe in it. I believe depression exists, and I know it's there. And reason for me personally, I think that it is within myself. If I'm depressed, nobody else can help me. It's up to myself to help myself come out of it. It's not going to be being depressed and sitting in the corner and crying about it. I have to do. If I'm going to make a change, then I have to do it. So that's what I believe. And I always try to fix my problems myself. I do get, I do get depressed. If I have an argument with my wife, I get depressed.
That's inevitable. Right.
And she talks to me, and I'm fine again. So, that's
funny. Do you exercise? Do you run, jog?
So back in my home in Wales, I was running 5 kilos 4 times a day, 1 kilo up the hill. And I had a gym in the house. In my house, I had a gym. I used to go to gym 4-5 times a week. And then obviously after the incident happened, I come to London, although I have a gym in my building that I live in with a spa and swimming pool. But I think, first 3-4 weeks, I was a bit shocked of what happened. I was going and my wife pulled me through it, actually. I was, getting over the shock of what happened, and people who done it were related to me in a way.
Wow.
And getting over that was tough. It was tough.
Do you feel like exercising and all of that helps?
Yeah, exercising. I love exercising. I hate treadmill. I don't like it. I feel like a hamster. I feel I'm going nowhere in life, in the same place. I hate staying in the same place. My daughter then showed me on our treadmill there is a screen and she works on Istanbul. She walks and she goes through Istanbul. So I've started doing that, and that's a bit more interesting. But I like running outside where I live. I run through the forest. I have my own forest at the back. So I like doing things like that. Amazing. And then you're running and you're listening to the breeze and birds singing. It's different than running on a treadmill. Trust me.
Definitely, 100%. I agree with you. What are the sacrifices that you have to make? I mean, I know traveling is a big part of your life, and I suppose that is a big sacrifice on your part. Are there any other sacrifices that you make?
So traveling today is not a sacrifice, because today I don't miss much, because the kids today, to find time with them, I have to make an appointment with them. Oh, please give me some time, and they're all so busy because they're all grown-up adults. But biggest sacrifice I make when they were little, So I was building the business, and those days I had to travel the world, especially in Asia, Indonesia, Vietnam, Malaysia, everywhere. And they were growing up, and I left them. And if I knew now that what I've missed, because at that time, I didn't think it'll end. I remember that I would open up my front door, and my both daughters would run to the door. Who can come first? And those days are the best days of my life that I missed. Okay, if you say, would you change everything you have and be a normal person and have those days? I would say anytime. I miss those days. I used to just leave them in my in-laws' house and go for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And remember, I was building the businesses up in Bangladesh at that time. And in the beginning, Bangladesh business was difficult. Okay, I had a factory takeover of one of the guys who were working for me. So I did lots of serious stuff.
Wow. Okay?
I remember when I got rid of all the guys in Bangladesh, and I said, I'm going to do this on my own. And the staff, they call us in Bangladesh, when you and me go to Bangladesh, they call us Londoni Murga. I don't know if you heard of that name.
Yeah.
Basically, dull.
Farmer Murug or something like that,
Basically, Murga,
they don't know anything.
Murga means dull people from London. So, this incident, I think in 2009, when I got rid of my last director who was running the company, then I started running it. So I was in Bangladesh based running it. And this guy who was supplying papers, the papers in the packs. And this guy supplied me papers for 2 years and took 10 pieces out from each pack. Okay? And over 2 years, he supplied after I took over, I did an audit on everything, and my guys found out he supplied us 2 lakhs taka less of paper. So we deducted 2 lakhs taka from his invoice and paid him. But inside my factory, he had his own colleagues, his people who he went to school and college with.
So he had his own little...
all network.
Yeah.
But I knew I had to make a stand.
Now, we have a couple of questions from our social media networks. And one question is from someone very close to you. You've been working very hard all your life. When will you ever retire and enjoy life?
I hope that's not my daughter.
I'm not going to say anything.
I'm enjoying life now. I'm with my children. We're all living together. We do whatever we want. We go out for meals together. I mean, what we have today is because of the sacrifices I made in the early years. So, of course, I'm upset of not spending the time with my children. But if I did not do that, I would not have the ability to do what I'm doing today.
Amazing. Now, do you have anyone that you look up to?
Do I have anyone?
Any inspirations? Any business leaders that you might think, wow, like this guy inspires me?
Not really. There's a lot of successful business people in the world. I don't think anybody inspires me as such. I mean, there's mega business guys who do really well. What I get inspired about most is when I see a little guy striving and doing really well, and gone from one business to different business and he didn't have any help. Those people inspire me more than very successful billionaires. Billionaires don't inspire me as much as those people.
Amazing. Now, if you were to start all over again, right from that £20, how many years would it take to build the empire to what it is today in terms of
with my knowledge?
With the knowledge that you have now.
With the knowledge now, I wouldn't start with £20. You can get anywhere with £20.
Okay.
So the knowledge that I have now, I'd probably be able to build this business within 10 years. It will stay. Eurofood is a business that people try to copy and try to compete, but it's almost impossible because what we have built didn't come over 5 or 10 years time. It's 32 years now, probably turning into, of investment. And the infrastructure, it's not just Eurofoods and just we're supplying to the restaurant and the shop. No, it's behind it, as I said to you, the supply chain, the connections, the factories. I have 6 or 7 of my own factories supplying me into my businesses. So how is my competition going to compete? They simply can't. Even big supermarkets like Tesco's and Asda's can't buy the prices that I can buy. They simply don't have the connections or the network or the infrastructure in place. So even if you give me 500 million today, I couldn't build Eurofoods in 2-3 years' time. It will still take me 10 years.
Yeah.
You give me infinite resources because it takes time to build this infrastructure. So we are still carrying on. I mean, we are the largest farmers in Bangladesh, but we're not stopping there. We are now, next level is going to hatchery, and they're going to feed mills. So we're going to feed mills, which will be feeding our own farms. And it just carries, you can't stop. And the key is now, I'm not doing the growth. You think I'm driving it anymore? No. In the UK, I'm here and most decisions go in Bangladesh. My business now automatically grows. The management I have put in place, they are driven to grow. So, for example, I'll give you the example, I've got a garment factory. I had nothing to do with it. They came up with the idea in COVID. This is what they want to do. They just take my blessings. So now I hear they're starting a packaging factory because we've got all these factories that we buy packaging from. So we can have one factory making boxes or poly supplying to our factory. They want to do that, and all they would ask me, so this is what we want to do. This is the business plan. Would you approve? I just approve.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Mr. Hussain, for being with us and sharing some special nuggets from your journey. And I hope this will really, it definitely inspires me, because since I've learned about you and I've been following your journey for a while, it definitely has inspired me in terms of by learning more about what you have done and what you have achieved throughout your years. And I hope this show can be an inspiration to someone who's looking out there, who's looking to start out in business. And I hope this could be that spark that gets them going, because you can't really spoon feed for someone to become a businessman or an entrepreneur. But I think if you can spark that fire, then they can hopefully carry on.
Yes, and that's my reason for coming here, to see if we can inspire the next generation to do a lot more than what them. I mean, in tech, you can make big businesses in a short time now, and tech is the way. And for me, maybe another 2 to 3 years' time, I would not take an active role in anything, and just become an investor and invest in. If somebody has fantastic ideas that they think they will do well, then I'll invest in those businesses and and make it well. Because
amazing. I guess the end nugget that we've got here is invest in tech or look into tech, and that's something that can accelerate your journey quite fast. So thank you once again for being here with us.
thank you, Shafiq, mate.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And speak to you soon.
Okay, assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Hey guys, I truly feel inspired by this show, and I hope you too have been inspired, and I hope you will take some actions towards your entrepreneurship journey. I hope you will. I hope to see you on the next show. Until then, stay well, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, and of course comment with any questions that you may have or any guest requests that you may have. Until then, I'll see you soon.